The reasons given here are not convincing at all. The moving notes by the whip, in fact, if I was to go by the contribution of the whip, we should all just defeat this motion. Because he says the only reason why we should support this motion is because the National Assembly has already passed the motion. Madam Speaker, that can never be the reason why we are passing this motion. I have listened to my boss, respectively, and he has said that the panel just, realized that they could not undertake the task in front of them, and now for that reason, let us give them time to finish the work before them. Madam Speaker, I will say three things. One, it is this panel that shortlisted the candidates for interview. And when they were doing it, they knew the time that they have for the interviews. Now, Speaker, there is a principle in management called beginning with the end in mind. And I expected that the panelists are learned enough to know, actually some of them are PhD holders. I thought that they are learned enough to understand that if you are given a piece of cloth to tailor a shirt or a suit, you do it according to the size of your cloth, Madam Speaker, the fabric that you have. You cannot shortlist 500 people and then turn back and say, we have so many people to interview, so we need more time. That is not a reason. Madam Speaker, the panel cannot wake up one day and tell us, we want to be able to operate within constitutional principles of regional balance, youth representation. Madam Speaker, even if you had only one day to interview 10 people, that the outcome of that interview must reflect the constitutional principles of regional balance and youth representation. If you have not been able to do that within 90 days, you will not be able to do it within the 14 days that you're asking for. For that reason, Madam Speaker, there is no reason here to support this motion. Madam Speaker, I keep asking myself, when these people are asking for 14 extra days, what do they expect from the people of Banissa? What do they expect from the people of Malava? What do they expect from the people of Ungunja? What do they expect from the people of Magarini, where the Speaker of the Senate comes from and the minority leader of the Senate comes from? These people have been waiting, Madam Speaker, for this panel to complete its work and get the job done, Madam Speaker.
Add him some few seconds to finish. Final please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the indulgence. Madam Speaker, I want to go on record that this request is actually an admission on the part of the panelists of their own incompetence, Madam Speaker, to get this job done. And it has been said, I have no proof of it, that perhaps people are just extending time to earn a little more allowances. Madam Speaker, nothing stops these people, the panelists, from sitting outside official time, Madam Speaker, past 5 p.m. I have seen us here, Madam Speaker, when we have timelines. We have sat in this house up to midnight to transact important national business. Why is it? Why is it that instead of asking for 14 days, if they need the concurrence of the House of Parliament for more time, why can't they ask, if that is necessary, to be allowed to sit overtime between 6 in the morning and midnight to transact this business? Madam Speaker, I will reserve the final comment on this matter when I hear the response that I expect to hear from Senator Sifuna on whether that document that he was there when it was being signed allows the majority leader to ambush this House with a motion as important as this. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Cherarki, you speak only when given a chance, Senator Cherarki.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On a lighter note, when we were signing the partnership between ODM and UDA, I didn't see Wiper present. So I don't know why Senator Wambua is complaining. I don't know why Senator Wambua is complaining and Senator Sifuna signed religiously the partnership between UDA and ODM, and Wiper was not part of engagement. Mr. Speaker, on this issue of procedural matter, Mr. Speaker, I was just coming to the defense of Senate minority.
There is a point of order, Senator Cherargei, against
my
Senator Sifuna.
Madam Speaker, on accuracy and statement of fact, is Senator Fonandi in order to allege that I have signed a pact between ODM and UDA? Can he be made to substantiate? Honorable Speaker, if the Senator Fonandi can produce any document signed by Edwin Sifuna on behalf of ODM with any political party called UDA, I will resign today as a Senator of Nairobi. Let him bring it here and substantiate what he's saying. I have never signed any agreement, and I don't intend to sign any agreement as Edwin Sifuna
Senator
with
Cherargei,
the UDA party.
can you substantiate your allegations or withdraw?
Madam Speaker, I didn't say he signed. His party leader signed, Raila Odinga.
Senator Cherargei, please.
Madam Speaker,
please
I withdraw.
Thank you.
And apologize, Madam Speaker, and also indicate that
Senator Cherargei, once you've withdrawn and apologize, proceed to make your point.
But they are shouting at me, Madam Speaker.
Order, other members. Can Senator Cherargei
Senator
proceed?
Sifuna is sabotaging our partnership between ODM and UDA, and it should go on record as such. Madam Speaker, I want to support this procedural motion. I was disappointed, Madam Speaker, with the selection panel. I expected very serious questions of integrity, but the selection panel of IBC are underwhelming. They have been asking kindergarten and underwhelming and pedestrian questions, Madam Speaker. And I know you are an expert. You have sat in as Director of Elections, you have participated in electoral process, and you could see that the selection panel did not know what they were doing, Madam Speaker. And therefore, it is very unfortunate. Some of us are constrained because of constitutional timelines that is there, Madam Speaker, and we are looking at the greater good of the country. That is why we are supporting. But looking at the content that the selection panel was doing to vet and interview those interviewees, it was just an exercise in futility. I have not seen serious engagement, Madam Speaker, even having people who have PhD. That is why I said in the morning or in the afternoon that we have so many brilliant fools in this country who masquerade, Madam Speaker, and do. But without such saying, because this country has to move, Madam Speaker, and in the spirit of bipartisan and broad-based, Madam Speaker, I want to appeal to Senator Wambua to support this process. Because at the end of the day, I saw his leader, with all tremendous respect, I'll not mention the name, I saw his leader, Madam Speaker, speaking about objecting the conclusion of process. Why is it that opponents of William Ruto are fearful to have IEBC in place? It is because they fear the election itself, Madam Speaker, and they must allow, Madam Speaker. Number two, Madam Speaker.
There is a point of order, Senator Cherargei. There is Senator Wambua.
Oh, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, understanding Order 105 on matters of facts. First of all, Madam Speaker, I don't know how His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka finds his way.
Senator Wambua, what is the point of order?
The point of order, Madam Speaker, is I want the Senator of Nandi to substantiate that Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, His Excellency, is afraid of the outcome of this process. Secondly, Madam Speaker, because these two issues, that, Madam Speaker, the Senator for Nandi alluded to a situation where some leaders in the opposition are afraid of one President William Samoei Ruto.
Senator Cherargei,
We want him to substantiate
can you
those statements.
please substantiate or withdraw and let this motion continue?
Madam Speaker, the answer will bear me out because I didn't mention any name. I said his leader. Can the answer be produced, Madam Speaker, so that from there...
Senator Cherargei, in his final words, he actually said you...
Alluded.
Yes, alluded to some.
I
No,
alluded
and that's why he wants you to substantiate which these opposition leaders are that are afraid.
Okay, I will bring the
Please.
names, Madam Speaker, I will bring the names on Tuesday of the opposition leaders who issue a presser objecting the IEBC selection panel, and ODM was not part of them. Why is
Senator
Senator
Cherargei, please
Sifuna
withdraw or indicate which leader, because a
Madam
presser...
Speaker, I will bring the names of those opposition leaders next week.
Please
Tuesday.
note that and continue with the
Okay,
motion.
thank you. Madam Speaker, on the issue of review and delimitation of boundaries of the constituencies, we must fast track, Madam Speaker, so that we can put in place and ensure, like for example in Nandi, I have the biggest ward called Klibwani. People would want to review, Madam Speaker. There are many others protected constituencies that needed to be relooked at because we have a number of protected constituencies that do not meet the criteria. Number two, Madam Speaker, there are so many by-elections, Magarini, Banisa, Baringo County, Malava. If Mheshimiwa Ruku succeeds, Madam Speaker, to be the CS, Madam Speaker, we will need better not by-election, Madam Speaker. So we need the IEBC to be in place to conduct by-elections. Finally, Madam Speaker, I was misquoted. I said instead of members of parliament resigning to be the cabinet secretaries, why don't we give them responsibility allowances and appoint them to cabinet so that we save the country the agony of by-election and paying double salary? Because you only need responsibility allowance, and I was misquoted, Madam Speaker. Secondly, the cost of a voter in 2022, Madam Speaker, was 2,500. The best practice is 600 shillings per voter. It means the conduct of election per voter is still very expensive in this country. And therefore, I don't see why Mheshimiwa Ruku is appointed to the cabinet. What we should do is just give him responsibility allowances, come to parliament, go back to the cabinet so that we save salaries, Madam Speaker. So I want to tell people who are misquoting me that they don't have such opportunity. With those many remarks, Madam Speaker, and my time was eaten by Senator Wambua, but he's a bishop. I support this procedural motion.
Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I must begin by registering very strong protest on behalf of the minority side as to the presence of this motion on the order paper this afternoon. When I saw this motion on the order paper, I called, and the records can show, I called the leader of majority, the Honorable Senator for Kericho, Aaron Cheriot. I was unable to reach him because we in this House have agreed that we will not transact business by ambush. It is not a surprise. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I am extremely disappointed that it is very contemptuous for you to introduce a motion in such a way, because it gives us a very difficult time in the leadership to guide our members as to how to treat this particular motion. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, I protest because I don't like being made to look like a fool. Yesterday, after resolutions passed by the Central Committee of ODM, I was reading a statement saying that ODM will not countenance any further delays in the selection process of the IEBC commissioners, only to be told today that there is a motion on the order paper to extend time for this panel to do its job. And what's worse, Honorable Speaker, when I reached out to my leadership in the National Assembly, our counterparts there, they forwarded to me a letter from this panel, signed by the chair of the panel himself. The first thing I noticed, this letter was dated the 20th of March. This is 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, Honorable Speaker. This House has no idea. The second problem is that that letter is addressed only to the Speaker of the National Assembly, continuing this spate of contempt for the Senate, when they knew very well that this matter has to be processed through both houses of Parliament. Honorable Speaker, it is unacceptable. It is unacceptable that we continue to be treated with such contempt. So when I go through the letter, I'm trying to find out what are the reasons. And it is clear that even the mover of this motion has no access to that request. And by the way, in that request, this panel is asking for 30 days, not 14 days. It is the National Assembly that set it at 14 days, and there is nothing that stops us as a House. at setting that deadline at 4 days or 7 days or 2 days if we wanted to. And they are citing various reasons. By the way, I do not hold brief for this panel. And I have strongly objected to, I don't want to be distracted, Honorable Speaker. Strongly objected to this.
He does not want to be informed. Let him finish.
I strongly object to some of these insinuations that somehow ODM is the one running this panel. And if you read the newspapers today, you would think that there is a war between me and Senator Wambua. It is not going to happen. Me and Senator Wambua are never going to fight. But the truth of the matter is, we also do not want these incessant accusations against ODM. Honorable Speaker, if you hear the names of the constituencies by elections that are being mentioned, majority of them are held by ODM. ODM was holding Ugunja, we are holding Magarini, we have a nominee to cabinet, and there is a young man from Kajiado waiting to replace John Badi in the National Assembly. If anything, we are the ones who are suffering the greatest prejudice. Some of these political parties that you see making noise about ODM, and I have asked Senator Wambua to distance himself and his party from some of these non-entities making noise, and you know very well that they cannot field a candidate in Banisa. They are village political parties. I don't know what, Senator Wambua, you are doing with these characters. I want to dissuade you from hanging out with these people, because if you just moved a bit, you would allow me to deal with these people mundu kumundu. And they know me. And I don't want you to catch strays, as we say in the streets. Honorable Speaker, some of the reasons these people have given, they are saying that the time is too short because they shortlisted 116 people. I personally took time to watch one of those interviews. And I'm being vindicated because I said, these commissioners, the panelists, are talking too much. They like to listen to themselves. Instead of putting a question to a candidate and allowing them to talk, somebody is asking a windy, long question. And now, I am being asked, after complaining that they are talking too much, they write to me to extend time so that we can listen to them more. We don't want to hear what you have to say. We want the candidates, the people who are coming to run elections, to speak so that we can know what they are all about. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I want to conclude and say, even if I'm inclined, even if I'm persuaded, please, the sort of contempt that is being extended to this Senate will not be allowed to go on any further. Mr. Makanda should have known that there are 2 houses of parliament. He is a PhD holder, for heaven's sake. He should have written to our speaker and written to the Speaker of the National Assembly on the 20th, and we would have had time to debate this motion and give him what he wants. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Korir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I would want to really support the motion which is in the floor of the House. Being a procedural motion, I would also want to just speak about the procedure, where I feel Honorable Senator has felt like it was an oversight to this House. The letter that was written to the Speaker of the National Assembly was written in the capacity of the chair of the commission, where it was supposed to be brought to the commission, that is the committee, one of the committees in the commission. And then after the committee has deliberated on it, is when now it was written to the 2 houses. And that is why it came to this House.
There is a point of order,
yeah,
Senator
Honorable
Korir.
Speaker.
Just sit, there is a point of order.
Okay.
Senator Mandago, you want to?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I would like, under statement of facts, I don't understand how the Commission is supposed to decide on what is going to be discussed in Parliament. If the Commission was to approve, then the Speaker of the National Assembly, Senator Wetangula, should just write that letter and extend.
Senator Korir, where did you get the idea that the letter was written to the Commission? No.
Give me my mic. Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm talking about the procedure, where, Honorable Speaker, the letters was made after deliberation in the Commission that the 2 houses can now take their time and decide. It was not final that the Commission decided that let's give them the 14 days. The 2 houses can still decide that there is no more extension of time. But having been brought to this House, it's upon this House to either extend the 14 days or reduce even to 5 days or
Senator Korir,
deny.
the objection is to your assertion that the letter was written to the Commission and not to Parliament. If
Chair?
you're not clear, you want to withdraw that reference.
I won't withdraw, Chair, because that was the letter, unless I see the content of the letter, but I know the letter was not written to him as a speaker, but as the chair of the commission.
Wait, there is a point of order. Senator Sifuna, please.
Please, Honorable Speaker, do not allow Commissioner Korir to mislead this House. If the law says that Parliament may extend time, you write to Parliament. Wetangula is not Parliament. Wetangula is not Parliament. I certainly don't recognize him as Parliament. He might be the chair of the PSC. He's the Speaker of the National Assembly. We have our own Speaker. If indeed, as she alleges, that was the procedure, as Senator Mandago has rightly pointed out, all Wetangula needed to do when he received the letter is to write back and tell them the PSC has said have 30 days. Why is this matter here? If she insists on that line, then we as a House should send this motion back to Speaker Wetangula, let him determine it in accordance with those powers that Senator Korir says he has under the Parliamentary Service Commission.
Senator Korir, let me guide you. No, there is no point of order on another point of order. She has just explained, please. Senator, can I first deal with the point of order that has just been explained by Senator? No, that is not the procedure, and you know that. Can we deal with the first, Senator Korir? Have you seen the letter that was written? You may well be advised to withdraw your reference to the Commission. No, if you've not seen the letter, the more reason why you must withdraw. I'm guiding you. Senator Senator Kenywa?
Madam Chair, I stand...
Meantime, can the clerks please prepare to read the letter in terms of who it was written to?
Madam Chair, I want to support
Bring it to me.
The Vice Chair of the Commission. The truth of the matter is the letter can be written to the Chairman of the Commission, because many letters that are written here, Madam Chair, to this House, they're not written to the clerk. If it's the clerk of National Assembly, if it's the clerk to the National Assembly. But on this one, Madam Chair, I know we are the one, then when I was the commissioner, we interviewed some of the commissioners seated there. And in fact, it is the commission that pays for the sitting allowance, Madam Speaker. So I am sure as I speak, unless it has changed, and it must have changed yesterday, that the letter must have been written to the chairman of the commission as the chairman of the commission, not as the Speaker of National Assembly. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senators, honorable senators, I have requested the clerk to actually get a copy of the letter. Where is the mover? I think the letter should have been attached to the motion. You can help the House. Are you able to help the House? Do you have it? Please.
Madam Speaker, because Commissioner Korir has not seen this letter, and it raises even more questions.
Senator Korir, please listen. Please.
It raises more questions than answers, because I'm not a member of the commission. She is a member of the commission. In fact, she's seconded to that commission by this House. You are supposed to be the one to see these letters before we as members do. I have circulated the copy of the letter on the official Senate WhatsApp group so that everybody can be able to see it. But Madam Speaker, we are not discussing who pays the panel or who provides secretarial services for this panel. We are asking ourselves, which institution under the law has powers to extend time? And in my view, if the answer is that it is Parliament, then that request must be to Parliament. And we run a bicameral House, which requires that you recognize the leadership of both houses. The Speaker of this House is not aware. In fact, it's our Speaker asking for a copy of the letter. You as a senator should be ashamed that your own leadership in this House has not seen that letter. if you are going to defend this institution, you must stop this practice where people imagine that if you write to the National Assembly, you have written to Parliament. That is not the correct position of the law. And we must defend this institution.
Senator Sifuna, do you want to make reference to the letter? Can you please just, Senator Sifuna, let him read there. I want him to read actually the, who is the letter addressed to Senator?
Just 1 minute, Honorable Speaker, because the shouting is interfering with the network on my phone. But this is the letter. I have shared it on the official Senate business group. If you don't have a network, it's because Senator Kinyo is shouting. Honorable Speaker, the reference of that letter is SP/IEBC/CORR/2025/236 from the selection panel for the recruitment of nominees for appointment as chairperson and member of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. It is dated the 20th of March 2025. It is addressed to the Right Honorable Dr. Moses F.M. Wetangula, EGH MP, Speaker of the National Assembly and Chairperson, Parliamentary Service Commission. Now, Honorable Speaker.
I think that's enough. Senator Sifuna, I think let's...
I feel like there's more education to pass.
No, it's
okay.
Honorable Speaker. That information is what we are looking for. Senator Korir, can you proceed to the extent... No, it was a point of order where she was guiding the House that the letter should have gone through the Commission and the Commission to guide the House. Senator Korir, as you can see from that letter, it was written to Speaker and Chairperson of the Commission. So the letter is before the House as directed to the Speaker. Do you want to proceed?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, that was the clarity that we wanted as a House. And I also want to thank the Honorable Member because he's very thorough when it comes to the procedures. And it's clear that the letter also was copied to the Senate. So, and the reason why I'm raising this, Madam Speaker, is because...
Honorable Senators, please. It is... No, what is your point of order?
No, I don't want... Is it information or order?
What is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, I raise under point of order under Article 127 on powers of Parliamentary Service Commission. One of the functions of Parliamentary Service Commission...
Can you that cannot be a point of order.
No, it is
that you are trying to explain powers of the standing.
No, I'm not explaining, but I'm talking about the correspondence.
So what is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, it cannot be that Parliamentary Service Commission, the chairperson, Speaker Moses Masika Wetangula, Madam Speaker, cannot be the correspondent of Parliament as insisted under Article 93.
Senator Cherargei, order Senator Cherargei, sit down. Order Senator Cherargei, you are abusing that space to actually make a point you want to make. Senator Korir, proceed.
Thank you. Let me finish. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think Honorable Speaker, I think they are just wasting my time. It's just a procedure.
Please,
the letter has been read by
Senator Korir. Just let him be. Senator, please save Senator Korir's time.
First,
Senator Cherargei, you listen in silence.
The order is understanding Order 105, statement of facts. The letter was copied to the clerk, not the speaker. Number two, we don't waste time in this house. We debate. There is a difference between being written a letter and being copied just for information.
Senator Mandago, I overrule. She said the letter was copied to the Senate. To the clerk of the Senate actually represents the Senate. Yeah? Senator Kinyua.
Madam Speaker, in this Senate, and I want to repeat again, and I had said before, Speaker don't receive letters. Letters are sent to the clerk. And in fact, from what he has said, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, protect me from Protect me
Order,
from
Senator
class.
Cherargei, please.
Protect me
I have
from
not
this
given you
class.
time to read. Senator Sifuna, I have not given you time. Please, let's listen to one person at a time. Senator Kinyua.
Madam Speaker, the reason I'm saying this is because if you look at this letter, because now I can see the content, it was written to the commission, chairman of the commission, and that's why you are seeing the clerk of the Senate is written here very clearly, clerk of the Senate and secretary to the commission. Because it followed very well. The person who was being written this letter is the chairman of the commission and being copied to the secretary of the commission. And there is no time, Madam Speaker.
Senator Kinyua, you are wrong on that. It says speaker and chair. Let's not argue on that. Let's, honorable senators, I'd like to call upon all of you to actually allow Senator Korir to finish her argument on this issue. Senator Cherargei, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Mine is just to request the honorable colleagues that we need to agree. This is a very, I can't apologize, my friend. This is a very important commission that we want to have because of a number of basic works that need to be done. Remember, we've not done register verification. We've not done a number of things. A number of things that are waiting us. So, and that is one of the roles that we have to play as a house. So I want to request you, I want to plead with you that let's give them this time. It was within your hands to either reduce the number of days or even to reject. But where we are, I will plead with you, led by our able senator from Nairobi, that we give them time so that they can conclude this work and be able to take this country to the next height. Otherwise, thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I would want to request that is fairly the procedure and less kindly
Senator
approve this
Cherargei,
motion. Thank you.
You're being very disruptive. Senator Omtata. Senator Cherargei, we will listen to those contributing in silence, please.
Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to oppose this motion. Because when listening to what has been going on, I've just wondered what the powers of the Parliamentary Service Commission are. When did they become a medium for introducing debate in this House? As far as I'm concerned, there's no request to Parliament to extend time. Number two, this House is presided over by the Speaker. The other House is presided over by the Speaker. The two houses form Parliament. And I agree with those who have said that where Parliament is supposed to be asked to do anything, the two speakers have to be addressed. It's not correct that the clerk is addressed on behalf of the Speaker. There are letters which go to the clerk, which are merely for administrative work or for petitions. But request a special favor from Parliament, you have to move the speakers. So as far as we are concerned, we have not been moved to grant any extension of time. Madam Speaker, I've looked through the motion, and I'm just seeing a recitation of nothing. There's a lot of words here, but they say nothing. Not a single reason has been given as to why we should extend the time of the IEBC. All I can see written down here are things like noting that, further noting that, conscious of, further conscious, now therefore. There is no reason given why they want to extend time. There's no reason why they want to extend time. Number two, if I've seen the letter that was written to the Honorable Tangula, it expressly asks for 30 days. Can we debate in the absence of these people requested for 30 days and reduce that to 14 days as the National Assembly has done? Would it be proper for them to justify why they needed 30 days and not 31 days? I think we should approach this thing with the seriousness it deserves. If really, first of all, the law allows this House to extend time, which means there was a recognition that there would come an occasion when time would have to be extended. But the person seeking to extend time, or the entity seeking to extend time, must give us reasons why they need the time extended. And our decision must be on merit. So in the absence of an application to this House, through our Speaker, and in an believable decision by the National Assembly to assume that it knows that 14 days will be enough and not 30 days, without hearing the other party, and the failure for the other party to give any reasons why they want an extension of time, this being a House of Record, I would not be like to be associated with this kind of disregard for due process, disregard for the law, and disregard for detail. And so I oppose the motion. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Kenywa, is he? Senator Mandago.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me first say that indeed, as a country, we need the Electoral Commission in place as soon as possible. And we must appreciate that there has been quite some delay in the process. And in that delay, Madam Speaker, there are citizens of this country who are not being represented, either in the National Assembly or in the Senate or even in the county assemblies, Honorable Speaker. And those citizens have a right to be represented, Honorable Speaker, and their matters to be heard through their representatives. In view of that, Madam Speaker, despite the challenges of the chair not writing to the Senate, and we take exception that there is contempt of this House to the extent that they seem not to understand that we have a responsibility as a Senate also to approve the extension of time for them to be able to conduct their work, Madam Speaker. I do support this motion that the time be extended for the selection panel to complete the process so that we can have an IEBC in place, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, successful election or credible election is also determined by the amount of preparation that is put in place to ensure that logistical issues are properly addressed, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we don't want to run to 2027 and we have an electoral body that has just arrived shortly before elections, Madam Speaker. That would be giving room for those who will be selected as commissioners and chair of the commission, Madam Speaker, to give excuses of lack of preparedness for the election. I think as a House, Madam Speaker, and I want to persuade my colleagues, although I also agree with the sentiments of the Senator for Nairobi, that the chair of the selection panel should have noted. And secondly, Madam Speaker, that the chair of the Parliamentary Service Commission, who happens to be the Speaker of the National Assembly, should not receive a letter on 20th March and it is being supplied to us to discuss in an ambush kind of arrangement, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think some matters need to be taken seriously because it affects the nation. It can jeopardize the nation. If the Senate today decides they are not going to approve this extension, then we are likely to have, a rash selection of candidates that might, at the end, give us problems, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, having said that, I support the extension of time. I support this motion that we extend the time for the selection panel. But next time, Madam Speaker, the chair of the Parliamentary Service Commission and the selection panel should note that Senate has a responsibility and a role in this process, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
Senator Nyamu. Senator Nyamu, are you ready or you're not?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to contribute to this motion. We know the hue and cry that superseded the selection of this panel We know the long wait that the country had to go through before we get this a panel in place, so as selected by the president. We cannot ignore the fact that the Senate should be given due respect and addressed in issues serious as this. But at the same time, we are here to serve the country. We cannot delay this further, or we cannot be one of the bottlenecks of this process of coming up with the IBC commissioners. We cannot be one of the institutions creating bottlenecks. We have to facilitate the process and take up the issues of Parliament and our grievances on a different platform. So with that, Madam Speaker, I want to support.
I can't see another speaker. Move it. You want to reply or you want to speak?
I want to speak.
Majority?
No,
I know.
it was
It's the
Alwan.
mover.
I was not there. What is about? Madam Speaker, you know, I was in the farm in Kericho planting sugarcane. But then I was told there's a very important matter that I need to look after here this afternoon. I don't know why people are finding too many things to complain about in this matter. This is a very straightforward issue. You know, this selection panel, Madam Speaker, this is our baby. It's a creation of a process that this House was very deeply much involved in, the NADCO process. And we created this selection panel, which suffered very many challenges in its setting up, some of which the Senator for Nairobi, my good friend, spoke about even yesterday in a press conference. I think I watched him somewhere, explaining the difficulties we had in setting up this selection panel. Eventually, we had the selection panel, and to the best of my ability, I have tried to follow what they are doing, and I am impressed by the work that they are doing. They are trying their very best to get us the next IBC, and they have a very tight schedule. I have, Mr. Speaker, conducted interviews for public positions previously when I was in PSC. It's a very tiresome job, you know, because Kenyans are Kenyans. Sometimes they come, they have forgotten their documents, I don't know what has happened. You ask them a very straightforward question, they give answers through all forms of shapes and sizes, but eventually you have to make a decision. Now, as per this request, why it's coming to us, Mr. Speaker, is because on the last day that they finish their interviews, they'll only be left with 1 day to write the report and send the names to the president, the list of the nominees for him to select. I think if my memory serves me right, 3 names for the chairperson and 9 so that the president can select 1, and 9 for, what are they called, members, so that he can select 6 out of them. To expect that this selection panel, Madam Speaker, will complete their work at 5 p.m. and tomorrow sit down, comb through the list of interviewers, I think hundreds of them, from the short list, and do a report, is to push our luck too far. You know, Madam Speaker, it is Parliament that provides the secretarial work. Staff of Parliament, our own staff are the ones that are tabulating the results and welcoming staffers, as we have done previously in many other national assignments. Therefore, this request came to PSC, Parliamentary Service Commission, which is a body that collates all or coordinates for all the nominating institutions. When, for example, LSK sent their nominee, they send it to PSC. When we have a interreligious council, they have 2 nominees in that panel, they send it to PSC. We have this other one for accountants, what is it called? ISPAC. They send their nominees to that. So PSC is a coordinating body. And the chairperson of PSC is the Speaker of the National Assembly. So it's important that we separate our issues. Sometimes we may not agree with the National Assembly on many things, and I've said all those things here on this floor. But it is important to also understand that he has another role. And in that PSC, there are 6 senators. The vice chairperson of Speaker Moses Wetangula is none other than Senator Joyce, who is seated here. So if, by the way, for whatever reason, that letter came in and it was urgent and it needed to be attended to, the person who would have processed that letter is a senator who sits in this house with us. In fact, Madam Speaker, because I happen to have caught some of the submissions that our colleagues have made, I have shared in the official WhatsApp group of Senate Business, Madam Speaker, the letter now from PSC to all the houses. That letter is written by Clerk Nyegenye, the clerk of the Senate. National Assembly could equally have chosen to complain and say, why is somebody from the Senate writing to us? This should have been about us alone. Surely, good people, this is just about PSC and nothing about us and our differences as a House.
What's your point of order, Senator Sifuna?
Yes, Madam Speaker, understanding on the 1014, it appears as if the majority leader is imputing very improper motive on our part to raise those objections. Yet, the mover of the motion who was standing in for him has already apologized to us by for not supplying that information that you are now referring to the House prior to the motion. Majority leader, you are my witness. We agreed, both sides of this House, the majority and the minority side, that we will not conduct business by ambush. That this information that you're putting out now should have been with the members before. And your colleague on the other side, who is also the vice chair of the PSC, she herself had not seen that letter. I mean, what are we to make of this? We asked our speaker, he had not seen the letter. We have had to get this letter from the National Assembly. So to be fair to us, when such a motion is brought, first we need to be informed, and it would have been nice if you had attached all this correspondence so that we don't have to make noise about what you're considering nothing. But for you to say that you don't understand why we are making noise is to be very fair, especially because you have come to the House late and you're telling us you're growing sugarcane in Kericho when I know it doesn't grow in Kericho. Sure.
Senator Sifuna, Senator Majority, you can respond to that. Senator Sifuna has explained why
but this is
members objected to
this is a problem of these Nairobi people who grow kales or sukuma in gunias on balconies. They don't understand the geography of Kenya. There is a lot of sugarcane in Kericho, my good friend Senator Sifuna. Anyway, if that matter then has been properly explained to the House, then I'm satisfied. It's because of the messages that I saw from many people saying there's a matter that has arisen in the House and nobody appears to be clear about it. Then if it has been explained to the satisfaction of my colleagues, then I abandon that thought. And indeed, I agree with them that they needed to be in the know. I do confess also myself that it's only when I saw the order paper that I understood that there was such a motion. I remember about 2 or 3 weeks ago being informed that there was going to be such an occurrence, but I had not known the way through which it's going to be processed. But I'm satisfied now if my colleagues have been explained to and they are now properly seized of the matter, especially Senator Umtata, who has caused us, Madam Speaker, more than 1 year of a delay. You know, Madam Speaker, when we passed the initial law, it is this Umtata who went to court and said Parliament had allocated himself more than enough slots. Therefore, we reduced to 4 from the initial. I think we had, I think now we have 2 actually. Initially, we had 4 because of this good man that is seated here. But if he's come as he is, then it means that he's satisfied with what has been explained, Madam Speaker, and what has been done now. So with those many remarks, I want to urge that we give IBC selection panel these extra 14 days that they are asking for. I hope they give us competent Kenyans, men and women of great character and quality that can serve this nation in a great way. There are many by-elections that we are waiting, and members of political parties are looking forward to nominate people, participate in those campaigns. I have not done a campaign, Madam Speaker, since 2022. And you know we have campaigns coming up in 2 years. I may have forgotten how to address a crowd. I need to test my vocal cords, Madam Speaker, somewhere. Either in Malava or Boni Kalwale. I will rely on his wisdom to tell me which candidate to support for our party, the UDA. Once we find that candidate, we meet and we square it out with Sifuna, because I'm sure he'll present a candidate. Much as I know his chances in Malava are very limited. That's what Boni Alwale has informed me many times. That is a corner of Kakamega that is completely yellow, Madam Speaker. Anyway, with those many remarks, Madam Speaker, I beg to urge my colleagues that we support this motion. I thank you. Thank you for this chance, Madam Speaker.
The mover may now reply. Senator Khalwale.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I rise to respond, or rather, to put it in the proper balance, to reply.
To reply or to respond?
To reply. You just got me when I was correcting. You know, Madam Speaker, I went to Malinya Primary School, where my headmaster, the late Andrew Makwaka, Imbundu, was very keen on English. He made sure we spoke good English. That's why you see me quickly run away from the word respond to reply. Unlike my kid brother Edwin, who was at Kakamega Primary School, he can't even remember the name of his teacher who taught him English. That's how Gen Z is. So, Madam Speaker, I rise to reply, and I want to thank all colleagues. The challenges raised, I have come in when the leader of the majority was responding to them. They were purely administrative, no ill intent. The point is made, and I look forward to us having a good chair of the IEBC. Nothing is greater. The history of chairing elections in this country is replete with all manner of challenges, and I hope that the people I saw being interviewed will be up to it. With those many remarks, I reply. Yeah? Let me see in the...
Sergeant at Arms, would you kindly ring the bell for 5 minutes? Honorable Senators, Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 84.1, I wish to determine that this matter does not affect counties. Clerk, can you ascertain that we have quorum?